The billionaire who bought the world while the West was sleeping is someone you completely ignore daily. While you waste urgent time tracking hyper-exposed tech moguls online, this quiet titan masterfully hijacked the core foundational infrastructure of modern life. Stop falling for loud media traps. His invisible, multi-continental corporate empire dictates your exact survival right now, proving that the real power structures always remain hidden in total, absolute silence. To understand how this happened, we have to look back to a time before massive multi-continental corporations dominated our planet. Today, we are uncovering the story of Lakshmi Mittal, the mastermind behind ArcelorMittal. Long before achieving absolute control, his starting state was defined by post-independence India, a completely restricted landscape where poverty was widespread and industry remained scarce. Ambitious young people faced a suffocating regime known as the License Raj, where the government dictated prices, capital distribution, and precise production metrics. For an average industrialist, success depended entirely on political connections rather than raw financial talent, meaning Mittal stood to lose his entire future if he remained trapped within these rigid bureaucratic borders. His family operated a modest domestic steel mill where he watched deals form, but his unique gift for mathematics pushed his vision far beyond localized operations. The ultimate turning point arrived unexpectedly when his family risked everything on an overseas venture, purchasing a patch of empty rice fields in Indonesia to construct a factory. However, the initial plan collapsed immediately because essential electricity was denied and permits never arrived. Desperate to cut their losses, his father sent Lakshmi overseas with a simple, direct order: sell the land, salvage the cash, and return straight home. But Mittal had entirely different plans, and this is where the ordinary path dissolved into absolute chaos. He completely refused to sell the assets, choosing instead to stay behind in a foreign country to study the market while drawing up a radical blueprint to revive an abandoned, broken project. There was just one bizarre, impossible problem standing in his way. Mittal had absolutely no money, and strict domestic exchange controls legally blocked him from moving any family funds abroad. If he failed to secure immediate financing, he would face total ruin, public humiliation, and the permanent destruction of his reputation before his career even started. He needed to find a loophole, and he needed it quickly. He discovered a hidden export scheme allowing citizens to buy domestic machinery and ship it abroad, backed by state loans covering 85% of the cost. He successfully sweet-talked foreign officials, bypassed the rules, and launched his first independent greenfield facility completely from scratch. For 10 grueling years, he mastered logistics, eliminated waste, and transformed a bankrupt asset into a highly profitable machine. Yet, true scaling remained entirely impossible due to a broken global supply chain. To cross this massive hurdle, he devised a shocking acquisition strategy that everyone called insane, setting up an upcoming obstacle in a small island nation that would completely break his family apart. Mittal's initial Indonesian factory achieved impressive local efficiency, but this isolated success could not solve his desperate need for global scale. His plant produced merely 300,000 tons annually, while international giants dominated with many millions. Building new greenfield factories from scratch required entirely new logistics networks. Therefore, he abandoned construction to target underperforming existing mills during a massive global steel industry decline. In 1989, he located a failing government-owned plant in Trinidad and Tobago that was bleeding cash near bankruptcy. He offered a risky turnaround promise in exchange for a future low-priced buyout option. But implementing this blueprint required a brutal shock to the workforce. He instantly terminated expensive foreign executives, replacing them with 60 rigid managers imported directly from India. This new management team ruthlessly enforced grueling, exhausting shifts. Therefore, the factory's output doubled within a single year. He purchased the facility outright, but this triumph complicated his initial corporate promise, proving that his shadow empire was built on extreme operational stress. Just when everything seemed under control, a massive error changed everything by threatening to destroy his entire business model from within. In 1995, an explosive structural breakdown erupted when Mittal clashed directly with his own bloodline. His father and brothers demanded he abandon his international operations to focus exclusively on India's newly liberated economy. Therefore, his global vision faced an immediate existential death sentence. They viewed his stubbornness as an unforgivable betrayal, but Lakshmi flatly refused to surrender his hard-earned assets. He openly defied his family to protect his independent expansion, but this emotional warfare left him completely isolated on the global stage. He chose corporate domination over family loyalty, meaning he now had to gamble everything on high-risk, ruined territories to survive. Watch out for the upcoming absolute collapse of a toxic Soviet industrial hub that nearly triggered a multi-million-dollar systemic nightmare. He aggressively hunted for dying, bankrupt mills across Eastern Europe, backing his high-stakes plays with massive loans from major Western financial institutions. He successfully transformed these broken facilities into profitable instruments, but his escalating debt created a volatile foundation. Therefore, his estranged family back home watched his meteoric rise with a deep, boiling resentment, silently setting a dangerous emotional trap that would eventually haunt his entire legacy decades later. He was now marching completely alone into a lawless wasteland, unaware that his biggest gamble would soon push him to the absolute brink. Isolated on the global stage, Mittal initiated his ultimate masterstroke, a high-stakes gamble that would finally fulfill the promise of his invisible empire. He discovered a massive, decaying industrial hub in Temirtau, Kazakhstan, a completely shattered Soviet-era steel plant buried in deep ruin. Local workers had gone multiple months without receiving pay, basic heating had collapsed, and international critics openly mocked his expansion. The Wall Street Journal explicitly labeled the acquisition as his total professional Waterloo, predicting a prompt bankruptcy that would permanently erase his name. But Mittal unleashed his signature operational blueprint, immediately connecting all the risky micro-loops from his past trials. He flew in trusted, aggressive managers, completely scrapped inefficient Soviet regulations, and paid desperate workers in cold cash to restore immediate operational order. Within 12 months, factory production doubled. This ruined wasteland instantly transformed into his financial crown jewel, granting him undisputed market dominance to negotiate astronomical prices globally. The final piece of his hidden puzzle clicked perfectly into place. In 2004, he consolidated his diverse holdings into a single entity before engineering a historic merger with European giant Arcelor. This massive corporate blitzkrieg birthed ArcelorMittal, the single largest industrial monopoly in human history. He had successfully bought the entire global foundation while Western nations remained totally asleep, duplicating the exact aggregation strategies once perfected by historic titans like Rockefeller and Carnegie. The core lesson here is chillingly clear for anyone looking to scale. True control isn't built on loud public attention or viral social media trends. Real wealth is accumulated silently by buying up critical physical assets when the rest of the world is looking away out of fear. But absolute dominance always comes with a hidden, heavy structural tax that breaks partnerships apart. Just as Fortune magazine honored him as the ultimate businessman of the year, his past family betrayal returned to trigger a multi-million-dollar nightmare that threatened to completely dismantle his personal reputation, setting up a brutal legal warfare that he could not easily buy his way out of. Watch closely as the shadow of this massive legal hammer descends upon his global dynasty. The immediate fallout of achieving such absolute global dominance proved that immense corporate power triggers inescapable personal consequences. Back in India, the abandoned family business remained trapped in severe financial distress, forcing an estranged Lakshmi to reluctantly step in during 2019 to rescue his bankrupt brother Pramod Mittal. He generously cleared over $200 million in toxic debt to prevent criminal proceedings in India's Supreme Court, yet this massive bailout bought only brief peace. Within 12 months, his brother collapsed into bankruptcy once again over separate unpaid metallurgical guarantees, but this time, Lakshmi completely cut all emotional ties, leaving his bloodline behind forever to live entirely separate lives. This isn't just about a fractured family feud. This is exactly what happens when you prioritize cold, calculating execution over everything else. This hyper-focus on optimization transformed his global operations, shifting his empire from aggressive physical asset acquisition into intense technological innovation. His company pioneered revolutionary steelmaking processes that cut massive carbon emissions, slashed operational energy requirements, and successfully captured awards for sustainable development. But awards never tell the true ground reality of a shadow monopoly. Intense corporate lawsuits do. The corporate giant faced escalating legal investigations regarding extensive industrial pollution across multiple territories, exposing a dark undercurrent of environmental degradation. Furthermore, his massive structural footprint granted him unparalleled advisory access to the highest, closed-door geopolitical circles across Kazakhstan, Ukraine, and China. He gained direct, terrifying influence over global policy and trade strategy while remaining completely unrecognized by the general public. But a massive, final confrontation is looming that will force you to question who truly controls the material world, setting up a chilling conclusion you are absolutely not prepared to face. Watch out for the final twist. Ultimately, the staggering legacy of Lakshmi Mittal serves as a chilling blueprint for how real power operates on this planet. He did not wait for permission or follow mainstream trends. Instead, he seized collapsing markets when everyone else fled in panic. Yet, his calculation demands a steep human price, trapping operations under extreme workforce pressure and severe environmental damage. While you track loud internet celebrities, this shadow titan silently forged a monopoly embedded in your classrooms, boardrooms, and cities. The ultimate lesson is clear. If you want to understand who truly runs your daily life, stop looking at headline news and physically follow the money left in total silence. But this hidden steel dynasty is only the surface layer of a much larger, highly sophisticated economic matrix operating completely behind closed doors. An even more dangerous group of elite mathematical masterminds has quietly hijacked the global banking system, using automated algorithms to control trillions of dollars without ever triggering a single public alert. If you think an invisible steel monopoly is terrifying, you are completely unprepared for the reality of how these secret financial entities manipulate your personal wealth every single second. Click on the video appearing right now on your screen to uncover the dark truth about the quants before they manipulate your future next.